Welcome back to the shop. Today we're going to be talking about the Kawasaki Versys-X. I recently had an opportunity to ride this motorcycle. Unfortunately, it is not here to be featured in this video, but I will be editing in some B-roll shots of the specific one that I rode. The one that I rode was my sister's motorcycle. I was up there for a family get-together, and so it presented an opportunity. I figured I'd take it out for a ride, and that way I could give you guys my first impressions. It was not a very long ride. It was in cold weather and there was still snow on the ground. So please don't expect too much detail here. I will probably give more detail as I have an opportunity to spend more time on it. One of the first things I noticed while jumping on the bike is how light and easy to use the clutch is. I headed out onto the road, and again, this is the non-ABS model. I found absolutely no issues whatsoever managing rear wheel traction under braking without ABS. So if you're considering this bike and you're trying to decide between the ABS or the non-ABS model, especially if you're going to be doing any off-road riding, I would say save yourself the money and forego the ABS and just get the standard model. As you'll see from the B-roll that I'll be editing in throughout this video, the one that I rode actually had the windscreen removed. So unfortunately, I won't be able to comment on things like wind protection or buffeting or any of those aspects because obviously the windscreen was not on the motorcycle, and I fully expect that that would make a significant difference in terms of how much wind is hitting you and where it's hitting you. So again, if I have an opportunity and she's willing to throw it back on for me, I'll try to get her to do that so that way I can ride it with the windscreen on and give you guys some more feedback in terms of what kind of a difference that may make. The ride was short. It consisted of some road riding. My experience there shows me that this motorcycle is very, very capable and it's designed for somebody in particular. That somebody is somebody that's going to be predominantly using the motorcycle to commute or doing more road riding and then taking a little bit of an adventure off-road on occasion, gravel roads, fire roads. It is by no means a bike that I would want to go and do some hardcore off-roading on. If you're planning to do that, please, please, please add a bunch of protection to this motorcycle because of the engine design and the frame design on it. Everything is really, really exposed down low, so you would need to address that. Also, the foot pegs are way too small for any serious off-road, so if you're going to be doing that, you would have to replace those too. The suspension, although it's not designed to take big hits and jumps and things of that nature, I think it would be plenty capable in off-road scenarios. Again, assuming that that terrain doesn't get too rough. On the road, however, it feels very plush, very compliant, and I will say that it did not exhibit any of the previous behaviors that I've seen from other Kawasaki models in the past of the CC displacement size, and that is nosedive under braking. There was none of that present. It seems to be a nice enough suspension in terms of road riding, but again, in those off-road conditions, I am highly confident you would bottom it very quickly. The low seat height and the relatively low weight for this category of motorcycle make this a fantastic bike for a beginner or for anyone who is looking for a lighter version, of an adventure bike that maybe they're more experienced but they're just tired of dealing with the weight. This might be an option for you as well. On the highway, I will say that the Versys-X actually handled better than my KLR 650 did. It runs high in the rev range, but it's very smooth at doing so given the parallel twin design. The small time off-road that I had, again, it was snow-covered ground and it was the stock tires. So the first thing I will say is it might get a little bit better as the seasons change, but I would definitely replace those tires if you're planning to do any serious off-roading at all on this motorcycle. The stock ones are not set up well for it. However, I did find the traction manageable and very easy. That kind of ties in with that really light clutch, although there's not as much feel in the clutch that I would like, but I am kind of spoiled by the types of bikes that I've been riding and the level of feel that is in the clutches on those motorcycles. So I don't think it's horrible, but it still, to me, didn't even match what I've experienced like on a KLR 650. I think that had a better clutch feel. But again, it is really light, and I suspect that they probably did that given that this bike is intended to be used more in those on-road conditions than the off-road conditions. So I know this is short and sweet, but hopefully some of you found it informative. Again, I will post back as I have additional time to get on this motorcycle and see more about it. I was initially impressed. I think it's a nice little bike, and especially if you're a beginner and you're going to be doing predominantly on-road riding, I think this is a bike that you should seriously consider. And then again, last but not least, skip that ABS option and save yourself some money. So stay tuned, and I'll be sure to update accordingly if I get an opportunity to ride that. I will also be getting an opportunity to ride the Himalayan again. Hopefully, if the owner still hangs on to it. He's offered to give me some more seat time on that as the weather breaks. We'll be covering the motorcycle show coming up here soon and a variety of other things. So if you haven't already, be sure to click that subscribe button. If you know somebody that would find this video useful, please be sure to share it with them and share it on social media. Until next time, take care and ride safe.